Good morning, this is Christy Jones, Holistic Health and Mindfulness Coach. And today I wanted to show you the hand model of the brain. So, are you ready to learn a little bit about your brain? To me, this is something so important for everybody to understand how their brain works. If we do not know how our brain works, we don't really understand some of our behaviors or some of the behaviors that we see with maybe our family or our friends. And so this comes from Dr. Daniel Seigel. He refers to it as the handy brain, or the hand model of the brain. So if you can take one of your hands out and make a fist, this is going to be our brain, right? And if you go ahead and open your hand, imagine that your wrist right here is your spine. So it's connecting to your brain right here. The lowest part of our brain right here, which is our palm is gonna represent that, is our brain stem. And our brain stem is in charge of all of our automatic functions, our breathing, our heart rate, everything that our body does on its own that we don't have to think about is controlled by our brain stem right here, which is gonna represent back here on our head, our oldest part of our brain. They call it the reptilian brain. Now, not only is it in charge of all of our automatic functions, but it's in charge of our stress response. Are you familiar with the fight, flight, freeze response? When we're under stress, we may go into fight mode where we'll yell or get aggressive. We may go into freeze mode where we stop, right? Or we may go into flee, get me out of here. Like, don't want to be in this situation right now. So when we're under stress, most likely we will go into one of those three responses. That is right here, the lowest part of our brain stem. Next part of our brain, if you put your thumb in, this is your limbic system. Your limbic system is in charge of your emotions and your memories. Okay, so this is mid part of our brain in here. That holds our emotions and our memories. Sometimes we will think of an emotion or feel an emotion and it will trigger our brain stem. It will trigger the fight, flight, freeze response. These two parts of the brain love to have parties together and work together. So they may play thoughts over and over and over in our head. Okay? Next part, if you curl your hand over, top part of your hand would be the top part of your head up here. This is the cortex. Front two fingernails right here are the prefrontal cortex. Prefrontal cortex is our rational brain, our decision-making brain. So for our children that we work with, our prefrontal cortex is not developed fully until we're 25. As adults in kids' lives, we are teaching them how to develop this part of their brain. Interesting, right? So that is really our job. If we have any contact with kids, is we're helping to build that prefrontal cortex. We're teaching them how to use their rational decision-making brain. Now, when we are in balance, it's called brain integration, and we're using all three layers of the brain. Our brain is connecting on the right and left side of the brain, and that is called brain integration. This is one of the reasons I'm so passionate about mindfulness. Breathing and mindfulness movements is because those activities are integrating all three layers of the brain. Okay? Now, sometimes we can get triggered by something and we can flip our lid. When we flip our lid, we are no longer using our prefrontal cortex. We are no longer using our rational brain, our decision-making brain. We are now using our emotions and our memories and our fight, flight, freeze response. When somebody is triggered or flipped, it is not a time for a conversation. They're not in the right mindset to be able to talk and look at something in a rational way. What we have to do is we have to help them bring their brain back together to integrate their brain. And so that is where the tools that I teach of being able to pause, put your hands here, one hand on your heart, one hand on your abdomen, take some deep breaths in, will help bring the brain back together. Or a variety of mindfulness movements are also those ways that we're going to change the energy in our body. We're going to bring our brain back together, creating a cool head and a warm abdomen, which is our natural state of balance. Movement is a really powerful tool when somebody's flipped to bring them back. Okay? So it's important to know what makes us flip our lid. knowing there might be certain triggers that we have in life that make us flip. When you know what those triggers are, then you can put things in place. You can practice your mindfulness strategies to be able to be more aware of your own behaviors and keep yourself more integrated. This can be taught to kids starting at 4 and 5 years old, so they have an understanding of their brain and they can tell you, I'm about here, I feel like I'm gonna flip. That's a great time to put some of these mindfulness tools into place. So I hope this gives you an understanding of our brain. It can help you see when somebody all of a sudden flips on with something. We never know what's going to be a trigger for somebody. We don't know what their experiences have been in life that's going to really be a flip. And so we want to use this for ourselves, and then we also want to teach this to the people in our lives so that we can understand our own brain and how it works, and we can keep ourselves more integrated and create a more peaceful life for ourselves and a peaceful world. If you have questions on this, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you more. Have a great day.